But the main thing is that people are focusing on that pure sort of amount of work, but they don't have any ways to correctly guide that energy that they're putting there to their body. So it needs to be really properly set so that it promotes the body structure, the healthy body structure, and doesn't destroy it. Because it's very easy to truly start to cause a lot of wear and tear into your body when you have this ability to use a lot of force, a lot of intensity, but you have no idea how to control that.
If you brush your teeth very badly, you can brush them like 3 times and maybe you get good result. But if you don't do it just really well for 1 time, then once a day is enough. And the same applies to training. Like, you never know like how much the person has to do, but what you can do is that you can teach the person to like understand himself or herself, so he or she can better evaluate how much work he or she can do. Then another point I want to touch on, which you talked before, is that the crazy thing is that like these guys, they are like these strength coaches, like even Pavel Tsatsouline and many others, like they're so focused on programming and periodization and all that stuff. Like that's, when in reality it's the least important aspect of training the body. Like, of course, the frequency and volume and everything matters, but it's the least important factor when it comes to training. And they are like obsessed with the least important, because they think that somehow when you train this much on these days and then you take a rest week and then you do like the pyramid style where you like go up and then you deload and then that's the secret to how you get the best results, when in reality the training is the most important aspect, and how you do it, like how you said, how you do it, the methods and the principles you apply, and how you develop your body during the training sessions is like hundreds, no, maybe 10 times more important. And that's what they never talk about.
Yeah, it's like you have the intensity and the volume, and I feel like that's just like everyone is trying to really emphasize what is the correct amount of like repetitions and sets to do and when, like the days like you're explaining. And I feel like that's just, it's simply the intensity and the volume, how much you're doing is just the amount of work. It's like how much, effort are you going to put to something, but it needs to be corrected or it needs to be guided correctly. This is how I feel about it, because if you go to the gym, you can do your 10 repetitions, 10 sets, or 10 sets of 10 repetitions or something for the body, but it doesn't tell about what is actually happening inside the body. So if I'm doing at the gym and I'm just like doing these sets going through like this way, I don't have any feeding anywhere, I'm just kind of like going through the motions. So everyone realizes that that's not going to produce very good results. So the solution that many people have for that, so that you don't just kind of like be like this way, is to add weight. Because if you have heavy weight, then you're going to have to do some work when you do it. But it still doesn't mean that you have a good form when you're doing it. So you may be using a lot of compensation, you have poor stability, maybe your joints are kind of a bit out of alignment. So the weight will add intensity like automatically. That's one of the things about why it works, why many people get first results by just increasing weights. That's how I got results in the beginning, because that was the only strategy. But it really isn't sustainable. And there's much better ways, to start to go about it. And especially the more you advance in training, you should add a certain amount of control, mind-muscle connection, stability. You need to understand leverage in the body. You need to understand how to use tempo into exercise and so on and so on. So there's a lot of different strategies other than trying to increase this weight and such. But the main thing is that people are focusing on that pure sort of amount of work, but they don't have any ways to correctly guide that energy that they're putting there to their body. So it needs to be really properly set so that it promotes the body structure, the healthy body structure, and doesn't destroy it. Because it's very easy to truly start to cause a lot of wear and tear into your body when you have this ability to use a lot of force, a lot of intensity, but you have no idea how to control that energy in your body.
Yes, and that's the thing. What we want to do is that we want to empower the individual to understand himself or herself through these different methods and principles, because the thing about volume, the thing about frequency, and the thing about everything is because it's all individual. So, of course, this set like a cookie cutter, like a workouts and workout templates and schedule, of course it's going to work. But what's going to work the best is always the individual approach, because every person is different. Every person has like a different capacity and different recovery and different everything. So you never know like how much the person has to do. But what you can do is that you can teach the person to like understand himself or herself, so he or she can better evaluate how much work he or she can do, and how much work needs to be done. It's completely subjective thing. So like, and how you do it also will change how much work you have to do to get like a certain stimulus or result. So for example, 5 sets that are very well done are way more effective than 10 sets that are poorly done, for example. Like, for example, if you think about it, like if you brush your teeth very badly, you can brush them like 3 times and maybe you get good result. But if you don't do it just really well for 1 time, then once a day is enough. And the same applies to training, like how many sets you need to do depends on how well you do the sets and what is your personal capacity. So that's why like being obsessed about these external criteria, external factors like the programming and the sets and the volume, it's not the best approach. The individual subjective approach is always the best, and how you can help people do that is give them the principles, give them the understanding, and give them the methods to better understand training and better understand themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's so much, if you only try to look at the mechanical sort of like work and this is very external, you have just, counting the numbers. It's not a very reliable way to see what's going on, because everything that you're doing externally has to have a reference internally. Like you need to, or what I'm trying to teach the people is to always to feel the results happen in the body. Because I know for a fact that I can tell a person to do this and this many repetitions, this and this many sets, and there's no assurity at all that this person is going to get any type of results. So it needs to be, well, first of all, of course, I need to teach the quality of doing this exercise, very like specifically what we want to achieve with that, but also trying to convey how to start to feel these results happening in your body. That's the correct way to start feeling it, because that's the only way that you can really tell whether this exercise that you're doing are making or causing any sort of positive like effect there. But like, and this, let's just going back to the squatting that we talked about in the beginning, like people really focus on even the squats. They base their opinion on the squats based on the weights, based on the number of repetitions and everything, when there's so much more to it that you can actually try to get out of the squat. Like you can really apply these principles and methodology that we teach, and which is very individual. You can actually start to tweak the form of the squat. You understand the different exercises, the form that they're better. You can start to make these changes in the form that actually suits your body. Because one of the things also that comes, or why I feel like people are overemphasizing certain exercise over another, is that these people have a natural advantage in these exercises. So of course, this person who has a specific body, he can do squats very well. He can do back squats in the perfect way, lift the most amount of weight, he's going to start to emphasize that and tell to other people that they can also get the best results. But in many cases, if you find people who emphasizes some particular exercise, they also have a natural advantage in that. So it's not universal. It's not about every people. It's about these specific people for whom it is the most best exercise sometimes. And even for those people, they should be doing multiple. But I feel like that's one of the things that we also emphasize, because we're trying to bring out training knowledge that is not only about some few people. This training knowledge that we always talk about is something that's applicable to pretty much any age group, female, male, to all body structures. So we're on this ground level that anyone can really benefit from when we're trying to bring these universal sort of laws, principles, methods to people.
Yeah, the thing about the squat or any exercise is that what the exercise is not like so relevant. What matters is what is the purpose and what is your intention and what you want to achieve with the given movement. So, for example, if we talk about the different variations and the different weight and the different depth of the exercise, especially when it comes to squat, like it all varies like what you want to achieve with the exercise. For example, if you want to develop the inner thighs, maybe you do the wide version of the squat. And if you want to develop the front quads, then you do the narrow variation of the squat. And likewise, the range of motion, like different range of motions develop the different muscles very differently in different, muscle lengths. So if you want to focus on certain aspect of the body, you can just do like pulsing repetitions or half range of motions, repetitions of the squat. If you want to focus on like certain aspect of the body, and likewise. And the same goes with any other exercise. Like if you want to focus on, for example, because some of the strength coaches out there say like you should only do the exercises, 90 degrees, whatever the exercise. Like if you do bicep curls, you should only do 90 degrees up and then lower down. But that's like completely crazy idea, because I don't even know how they came to that conclusion, because maybe some study showed that the activation is the best when it's like only 90 degrees. But in reality, if you do for example, the bicep curl to 90-degree angle, the first half of the repetition, you will most dominantly focus on the elbow flexors in the forearm muscles right here. So if you always do it like this, then you will mostly focus on developing your forearm elbow flexors. And of course you will train the biceps as well, like the different heads, but not as much as you were to do like the other half of the repetition. So this is a very good exercise that kind of illustrates that different parts of the range will develop the different parts of the muscle in this full range of motion. So that's why you see lots of really high level bodybuilders just doing, bicep curls like this, because they're just focusing on, maybe they focus on the mind-muscle connection and just feeling, the short head of bicep and doing like this and pulse repetitions, because they know how to activate the right spot, and they know the range of motion and the movement they have to do to really engage and stimulate that muscle, and that's why they're doing it that way. So that's why it's crazy to think like there's like a exact way to do exercise when it comes to range, because different ranges develop their muscles very differently, and even different muscles. So not just the same muscles are developed differently, but their different range can even develop different muscle groups or emphasize them more. So of course you have to have this understanding what you want to do, what you want to achieve, and what is your the weak point in the body that needs to be addressed.